What's up, everybody? Garrett back here. And what I want to do is I want to continue the series that I usually do with Deadpan, but I'm going to do it here on this channel and exclusively, and it's going to be talking the physical media history of The Exorcist. Now, the reason I want to do The Exorcist is because it is celebrating 50 years in 2023 since its release. And not only that, but it's also got a slew of 4K releases that I want to talk about. Now, being one of my all-time favorite horror movies and being just a game changer in the horror genre, it's a movie that I've collected throughout the years and have many, many copies of. So I figured, hey, what a great time to showcase a lot of these. There's a lot of different versions out there that I've picked up throughout the years and talk about the history of this movie on physical media. Now, going back and researching the history of this on physical media, there are some gems that I do not have in my collection that I would love to have in my collection. And if you know me, I don't like to buy a ton of copies of the same movie over and over again because I've already done that before, but I do make exceptions when it comes to certain movies, and The Exorcist is one of them. Now, again, like I said, I do have a lot of editions and I will showcase each one for you, but there are a lot of editions that I do not own that I wish I did, and one is actually the first physical media release of The Exorcist back on VHS in 1979. Now, if you take a look at this VHS, it's really cool. It's got that real old school green 70s vibe to it. I think it's really, really cool. That is a grail. I also found out doing my research that they came out with like a big box in 1979, which is really, really rare and really, really valuable. It has like a fold out. It's beautiful. It's something I definitely want to get for my collection. When it talks about physical media, it's weird because I look at that and I'm like, that's its rookie, right? So to me, that feels like that would be such an important addition to have because that's its rookie as far as a physical media release. And I know that's kind of a collector mentality going on, talking about rookies and all this stuff, like when you think of baseball cards, but I think about that when it comes to some of these physical media releases. So again, if anybody out there has this edition, man, bravo to you. I would love to track it down. It seems like it's relatively expensive. I've searched it out on eBay before, but I'm hoping it's something that maybe I just come across at a thrift store someday and pick it up. Now, following up that release in 1982, The Exorcist was released on a format called CED. Now, this one has really cool artwork. It's different. It's got that main logo, but it's also got Reagan as a little girl kind of peeping through. It's just a different look. Now, I'll be quite honest. I don't know a lot about the CED format. I own 0 CEDs, but it was a format that I don't think lasted too long as far as I know. But The Exorcist did get a release on CED, which you can actually find at a relatively good price if you search it out. Now, as we roll into 1983, The Exorcist comes again in another new format, Laserdisc, which is the first Exorcist edition that I own here. So this is The Exorcist on Laserdisc, the first one from 1983. If you check this out here, it's got that similar green cover, kind of like the VHS that came out, that first VHS in 1979, kind of resembles that. It says Warner Home Video, it says horror up at the top in the little green. I like the green aspect to this. We didn't usually get a lot of green when it came to The Exorcist for most of the releases going forward, but very, very cool. You get those pictures there. Again, I'm not a huge Laserdisc collector, so I can't tell you everything about Laserdiscs. I do have some in my collection, but Laserdiscs just weren't something that was readily available to me during my years of collecting. It seemed like it was something that more people in the know would be collecting. I never saw them in stores growing up. So again, it was just one of those things that people had them, but it was always like they had to be in the know to kind of find out where to get these things. But yeah, pretty damn cool to have the first ever Laserdisc of The Exorcist that came out in 1983. Now, it seems like we don't get anything Exorcist after this until 1990. So that's a long period of time from 83 to 90, especially nowadays where you see that things are getting released almost like every other year. And you feel like you're constantly trying to rebuy things because it maybe has a new transfer, new audio, or maybe has new special features. But back then, it was very rare that we got a lot of the same movies coming out. So a big gap here. There was about 7 years till we saw The Exorcist kind of pop up again on the home video format. Now, again, these editions that popped out was a VHS and a Laserdisc. Both I do not own. I feel like this VHS is something I probably could get. It was very kind of plain looking as far as their look. I could probably get this VHS, like I said. This would be something I feel like I could find in the thrift store. Probably get it on eBay relatively cheap. But again, as far as Laserdiscs, they're usually pretty expensive. So I'm sure this Exorcist one is probably pretty hard to get at this point. But yeah, this was the next releases of The Exorcist in 1990, both on VHS and Laserdisc. Now, when it comes to talking about a lot of overseas releases around this time for The Exorcist, I mean, I know when it comes to Laserdisc, Japan did a lot of stuff. The UK actually had a VHS that came out and then was pulled due to the video nasties that was going on, and they just didn't want that movie seen by a lot of young audiences. Eventually they ended up coming back out with it around the late 90s, but I'm not going to get too much into that because when it comes to some of these movies, they had like little releases here and there, but the big year was in the late 90s for the UK to get The Exorcist back on home video. Now, 1988 was a huge year for The Exorcist because it was celebrating its 25th anniversary, and they did a ton of additions. So not only did they bring it back into the UK at that point to celebrate, but we also got a lot of cool additions here in the States. So a couple I'm going to talk about is, again, going back to Laserdisc, we did get this cool special edition Exorcist on Laserdisc. This was representing, like I said, the 25th anniversary. And what made this a little bit different was I think it was the first time we ever saw this movie in widescreen, and it also came with some special features that I don't think we ever seen before. Now, this is when I feel like my Exorcist collector game really started to pick up, was around these late 90s, because honestly, that was the first time I'd ever seen the movie, was in the late 90s. And then along with the VHS tape, which again, came in a clamshell, I have this sealed still. It says bonus collector card inside, celebrating 75 years at Warner Brothers. This is the 25th anniversary VHS clamshell of The Exorcist. Like I said, it has all the features that the Laserdisc had. Now, this is the VHS version of the 25th anniversary. Now, again, we don't stop there. They had a DVD, a snapper case DVD that was out around this time, just a standalone, but they also had these two big giant box sets, and I do have the box set for the DVD, which, again, they had two. I think the other one was basically just this inside the box set, and this is the exact same thing, except you get the DVD. I'm going to showcase that now. I've never showcased this on my channel before, so you guys are going to be the first to check this out. And I don't really see many people talking about this because at the time, this was a huge deal amongst the collectors because, again, not only was it horror related, but The Exorcist being such a huge movie for Warner Brothers, but this was a box set that they did for a couple different movies. I think I have one for, I don't know, Citizen Kane maybe. I'm pretty sure that was them. And then I have one, I think, for Blade Runner. So this was the Exorcist one, and I think you guys are going to really like it. All right, so if you guys remember, it came in these big black boxes. Like, look at how huge this is. Like I said, this isn't something that's easily displayable, but at the time, look at how sharp this was to get your movie in. It had this real cool material. This was all embossed in gold, and it says The Exorcist 25th year anniversary. Very, very awesome. Now, I'm going to open this up for the first time in a long time because I kind of remember what's in here, but I kind of don't. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of this stuff in here is still sealed. I don't think I ever opened it. Maybe the DVD I did because I watched it, but as far as all the extra goodies you get. So this slides out like so, and it comes with a book. So I'm going to get that thing going here. All right, so you get this cool book inside. And like I said, they did this exact edition with the VHS inside, but this is the DVD version. So you get this cool book. It almost feels like a kind of like a coloring book. And then inside, you've got a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of pictures. Look at that. Great picture of Reagan. I love that picture. Nice, nice picture of Linda Blair there. Again, very cool. A lot of really brightly colored pages talking about the movie itself. Awesome, awesome stuff. I'm trying to see if there's anything special in there. But yeah, you get this cool booklet with it. And, oh, this is so rad. Now... How sick is this? These things were limited. Like, this was limited to 500. 500, that's not a lot. And again, you correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this piece that I'm going to pull out was only available for 500 of these box sets, or was there only 500 of these box sets made? That I don't really know for sure, but check this out. My number is 301 of 500, and you get a picture, you get a little film cell, and it's signed by Linda Blair. This is embossed in here, or debossed, I should say. And on the back, you've got something about the film cell in there. And you can see, it's hard to see here, but that's a film cell of this image here on the bed, which is really, really cool. And not only that, it's signed by Linda Blair in gold. Now, that is really awesome. And this is just wrapped in like a cellophane, so it has never been opened. But this would actually be a really cool item to frame up and display in your movie room. I don't want to pull it apart. It's been in this box for years and years and years, but... very, very awesome piece. I mean, they don't do stuff like this anymore. And to be honest, I don't remember how much I paid for this thing, but looking at what you're getting it now, I'm like, this thing would have probably cost about $200 nowadays for what you're getting in here. But this is super, super cool. Let me know if you guys ever saw this box set before. Well, speaking of that, I do have the insert for it. So it's going to tell us a little bit more about this set. So as you can see, here's the insert for it. It tells you everything inside. I'll read it really, really quick here. So it says the Exorcist 25th Anniversary Special Edition DVD Special Edition Collector's Set includes the following. And it says the winner of 2 Oscars in 1973, the adapted screenplay by William Peter Blatty, Best Sound DVD contains The Exorcist in a matted widescreen anamorphic format, preserving the 1.85 ratio from its original theatrical exhibition. Before the movie, all-new documentary produced by the BBC, The Fear of God, The Making of The Exorcist, also 3 original theatrical trailers, and an all-new introduction by William Friedkin. Now, I don't want to go through all this because I haven't pulled it out yet, but I just want to see what it says right here. Exclusive limited edition Cenotype image from the movie with 35mm film frame. Now, that's funny because, that is interesting because it doesn't say anything about it being signed. So even if you look at this, it doesn't show it signed, and it doesn't say anything about this being signed by Linda Blair. So maybe I got a limited edition one because it has a number on the side. It says 500. Maybe this was included in specific ones because, yeah, that's wild because it doesn't say anything about being signed. That's a huge deal. And maybe I have a real cool set that I never realized was that limited. So that's really cool. And what you get in here is you get a bunch of lobby cards. Now, I know a lot of companies do it now, but this is like the real deal. These are large, full print lobby cards, color. I understand that companies can't do it this way now because we don't want boxes this big for every release. So I get it, but very, very cool. And I don't think I've ever opened these. I don't know if I can open these. They look sealed. Yeah, they're sealed, so I don't want to open them now. I can't believe I kept these sealed all these years, but look at that awesome image of Reagan. And yeah, this is a big stack of lobby cards, which, yeah, I don't want to open these, but very, very cool. Man, the more I'm looking into this, the more I'm like, I love this edition. This is so, so cool. And then inside, you do get that snapper case DVD. Remember these old school snappers? I was never really a big fan of the snapper cases. I wasn't. I'm growing to appreciate them more now, and I'll look at this, it folds out. I'm appreciating them more now just because of the nostalgia of them, because it was kind of like what DVDs were at the beginning. And as a certificate of authenticity inside, you also get the soundtrack. So this is still sealed. The sealed CD soundtrack of The Exorcist. Like I said, if this was released now, this probably would be like a $200 set because this is just loaded with so much. So I wanted to make sure that I spent a little bit of time talking about this because it's a real great set that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy learning about if they're not familiar with it. So that is the big collector's limited edition. Like I said, the one I have is limited to 500 because of that signed piece inside. Beautiful looking thing here. This is amazing. And they did release the exact same set, but instead of the DVD, you did get the VHS that I just showcased here. So again, this was kind of like part of that 25th anniversary where they really gave Exorcist a ton of love between the DVD, this box set, the VHS, the box set it comes with for this, and the Laserdisc. You really got a lot of love in 1998 when it came to The Exorcist. Now, 2 years went by and The Exorcist was re-released in theaters. That's where I saw it in theaters for the first time. And that was the version you had never seen before, where you got the director's cut of the movie where they added some scenes in there and changed things up a little bit. I personally love the director's cut. There's a few things in it that I'm a little iffy about, but the scenes that they added with Reagan, I just really think make it. A lot of people don't like the spider walk. They feel like it looks lame. I think it looks cool, especially for that time frame. It's so different. And one of the reasons they didn't use it is I don't think that they liked the way it looked at the end of the day. I do. I think it looks great. I like the addition of this. To be honest, the version you've never seen is my preferred version of The Exorcist. But yeah, I saw that in the theater for the first time and I was just blown away seeing it on the big screen. I remember like bringing friends to see it and like, you got to see this movie. And because the hype behind it was so huge, even the trailer leading up to the version you've never seen is like the scariest movie ever made. And it was just kind of giving this backstory that I had heard about through my uncle, who again was a kid in 1973, and The Exorcist is one of those movies that completely scared him then and completely scares him now. So the lore of this movie was just so important to me at the time. And I loved it so much when it came out, on physical media in the year 2000, I wanted to make sure to grab the edition. So I do have a sealed VHS of The Exorcist, the version you've never seen before. Very, very cool edition. It's basically what you got in the 25th anniversary, except this is just that director's cut. And then you got basically the DVD, almost very similar to what I just showcased you. But now this is the director's cut, and very, very cool. This was the edition I watched constantly when it came out, was this DVD right here. So this means a lot because this was like one of my go-to DVDs. So the version you've never seen was the big release in 2000, showcasing this version of the film that we've never seen before. The next time we saw The Exorcist hit DVD was when The Exorcist Beginning came out and Dominion and all that kind of stuff happened. They put out like a box set on DVD where you got 1, 2, 3, and I think The Beginning was in there. I don't think Dominion was in the box set. That came out in 2006. I don't have that edition because I had all those editions already kind of lined up on the shelf. I had the snap cases for 1, 2, 3, and then I remember getting The Beginning and just kind of sliding it next to it. So I didn't feel like I really needed that box set at the time, which again, I think was really cool if you never owned these movies to get them all kind of housed together. You know me, I'm a huge fan of box sets, of things kind of housed in the same box, a part of the same franchise. So that was really cool at the time, but I didn't need it, I didn't have it, and we didn't see Exorcist hit DVD again, I don't think, until 2010, where they released another version of the director's cut, or version never seen before, in more of like a green case. It had Reagan on it. Wasn't really my favorite kind of cover art. I like the classic cover art. The one with Reagan in that green case was one that they kind of played with for a while because, you know, they would add a slipcover here and there to it. You would see it at Walmart with like an exclusive slip. Like, it was just one of those editions that to me felt very almost like the budget Walmart type of DVD. I feel like the snapper case ones were like the legit ones, and that green one that came out was just kind of like a throwaway, like, oh, well, you can have this one since these ones are harder to find. So that was just my opinion. So I don't own that green one either, nor any of the slipcovers that maybe it came with. All right, so the same year when that green DVD kind of came out, for the DVD collectors out there, it actually was the first time it hit Blu-ray. Hit Blu-ray for the first time in like a standard edition. It was still the director's cut again. We haven't seen the theatrical cut make its way back into home video format at this point. It had like the original poster art logo, but in The Exorcist, it said The Exorcist was almost kind of, it said the in red. Basically, it's what I'm going to show you right here, except it was a standard edition. Now, you had the option to buy that standard edition, or you could kind of fork over a little bit more money, and you did get this big, thick book, this big digibook type thing. And digibooks were really popular around that time. So basically, this cover art was just that cover art for the standard edition, except it was just the director's cut. If you bought this big book, you actually got both versions. So it was the first time that the theatrical cut kind of making its way back into the home video format since 1998. So very, very cool. I believe that was the first time it came back, was during this edition. But yeah, so you see the back. It's got cards in it. I'm going to open it up, show you case what's in here. Very cool. You get a little thing from William Friedkin in there, basically thanking you for buying this edition. You get the director's cut here. Then you've got that Pazuzu picture there. And we're going to rock through. And again, you just got different images in here from the movie. And then in the back, you do get the theatrical version right there as well. So very, very cool edition at the time. Like, this was the edition to have at the time. This was the big bad, I guess you would say, at the time. In 2010, this was the way to go. I remember snagging this thing. I'm not sure if this was an exclusive to a store or not. I know Target used to have a lot of Digibook exclusives. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but this was the one I definitely needed, just being a huge fan of this movie and having this kind of extra content. And like I said, going from that huge box, to me, Exorcist is always one of those movies that you need to have something special. So 2010, this was the one I chose. So I do not own the DVD of the director's cut. I don't own the standard Blu-ray of the director's cut, but basically it's what you're getting right here on this edition. So this was the one that I grabbed. That was in 2010. In 2013, it made its way back to Blu-ray in a cooler edition, and that was this big hard box that they put out. Look at how cool this is. Just a different image. I actually like this because it's plain and simple. It shows the staircase there. And this one is The Exorcist. You have the extended director's cut and the theatrical version in here. But what made this a little bit different than this was that this one had a lot of different commentaries, and it had some special features that we never had on any other edition before. It says, new 3-part documentary on the movie's production and legacy. For the first time, relive the actual on-set filming of the classic scenes via never-before footage, Raising Hell, the filming of The Exorcist locations, Then and Now, the face of The Exorcist. This is all on here, plus commentaries. Really, really cool. Then you had to get this one because this was loaded with even more special features that this one didn't have. So that's why it was important that I had both of these things, because they were both different as far as the features and stuff. So, but yeah, this is a cool addition, this hard box. You look at the back, you got that classic scene there. It's got Exorcist on the spine. Now, it says Exorcist, it's all embossed here if you can't see it on the camera. But you pull it out, you've got the regular Blu-ray housed in there. Again, now you've got some different features. Beyond Comprehension, it's going to be a William Blatty on the Exorcist featurette. Talk of the Devil, never before seen documentary. So that's what you're getting on this. And again, you open it up. You've got a couple discs. That code doesn't work, so if anybody wants it, you can try it. There's one for the director's cut. Here's one of theatrical, and then you get a bonus disc right there. So that bonus disc was the one that everybody wanted. So it's pretty much the identical stuff you get in here, except that additional bonus disc is the one that people wanted to set it apart. So it also came with a cool book, The Friedkin Connection, the William Friedkin memoir. So this is pretty damn cool, and it's a hardcover book too. So you get that. Look at that image of Garrett there. That's great. And again, all color photos in here. Very, very cool indeed. So again, that was 2013. So in 2014, they did release another box set, another collection. It's the Anthology Collection on Blu-ray. So basically you get part 1, 2, 3, The Beginning, and Dominion all housed together in a box set, very similar to the one we saw on DVD. I did find an edition that I didn't even know existed that came out in 2019. And that was a Best Buy exclusive steelbook, the director's cut. Really nice steelbook, all black. It's got the Exorcist logo in red. Very, very cool. I didn't own it. I didn't even know it existed. It is probably something I may track down just from collecting purposes, but it's not cheap online. I guess it was pretty rare. But if anybody has that, let me know down below, because I didn't even know that thing existed until I was doing my research on this video. All right, so now we roll into 2023. It's the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist. Man, this is a pretty cool time because, again, they gave it a lot of love, which it deserved. And we hadn't seen this put out on 4K yet. And the last time we had it on Blu-ray, like I said, was around like 2019 with that steelbook. And then even before that with these collector's editions that I just showed you. But very, very cool that it got a lot of treatment. Now, the standard edition that came out from Warner Brothers had like a weird cover. I didn't get that one. It had a slip cover. It had this weird picture of Reagan on it. It was like greens and reds, and it just wasn't an image I really liked at all. And I knew what I wanted when it came to this 4K, because there was so many to choose from. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this, and then I'm going to get this. And I'll explain that in a minute. But yeah, that was the 4K that we just got from Warner Brothers. Now, what they did have was they did have another steelbook, Best Buy exclusive steelbook, which I did make sure to grab because I do like the image on this. It's different, but it's really, really cool. Now, I did a whole review on this. Look at that. It's a matte finish. You get that cool blue, bluish purple with Reagan there. It's got the window open behind. Like I said, I did do a full review on this already. You can go check it out, but images inside, you get 2 discs there. You get the director's cut, the theatrical cut in there. So very cool. The only problem is that there was no real special features on this, considering it's the 50th anniversary, nor on the standard edition. But what they did do is they did come out with even bigger editions. The Ultimate Edition, which was basically, this was the kind of box cover, and then inside was another steel book that was the original art, which was a real cool edition. I was like, you know what, I'm going to get that, because I do love this image, and I'm going to get that. And it also had special features in it, I think, too, with all these other goodies like cards and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm going to get that one. But then they announced an even bigger edition that I needed to get my hands on. And that was this big Bible edition. I don't know what they call this, the deluxe edition. So you had the standard, the steelbook, the ultimate, and the deluxe. Now, these were shipped from the UK. So again, with 4K, you can bring them over. It works on your players here if you only got a Region 1 player. But again, I have region free, so the Blu-ray would work for me as well here. But when I saw this, and knowing what a big Exorcist fan I was, I knew I needed to have this set. This was the set I wanted. But it didn't have this image, which I really enjoyed, anywhere in this set. So I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to order this. It's coming from the UK, so it might take a little bit longer than release date, but I'm also going to pre-order this from Best Buy so I can check out the 4K right away and snag this thing. And I'm glad I did because this sold out pretty quick. So I'm glad I was able to grab this one. And another reason I'm glad I was able to grab this one is because this thing kept getting pushed back. I didn't think I was going to get it. So I will showcase what's in here. I did an unboxing if you want to go back and check it out. But again, I'll showcase really quick some of the stuff. I won't go through each card or anything like that, but I'll just kind of give you an idea of what's in this because to me, this is the most definitive Exorcist set in my opinion. No matter if you're working off Blu-rays or not, but this has everything in it. You've got all special features in here. You've got the extended director's cut, the version you've never seen. You get the theatrical cut. Like I said, full of different documentaries as well. But just look how nice this is. I slide this out. This is like leather. And I still haven't taken this J card off because I'm a little bit nervous. People that took it off either ripped it, and some that were very careful actually have some kind of like glue, almost like stains in this. So I'm probably going to leave this for now on here, even though I don't like this logo up here. But this is money right here. This is, look at beautiful. It looks like a big Bible book. Purple, looks really good. Beautiful, beautiful edition. And then inside, it says, Wonderful Day for an Exorcism there. And then you take out the steel book, and it's got the artwork, the original artwork there, kind of in like a greenish light color there, which is really nice. And then you open this thing up, and you do have the discs in there. Now, there's more discs, because this is the 4K and the Blu-ray, but they're stacked. And I don't really care for that, is to have these stacked up like this, but it is what it is, I guess. There's also, I think, a bonus feature disc on here. Yeah, so right here you get an extra 5th disc, which is where the features and stuff are housed. So very, very cool. So technically this is about 5 discs, which is really neat to have. I mean, again, they're all kind of wedged in here. It works. They're secured fine in here, but I like this image, but 5 discs on this, which is really, really cool. And you do get, you know, cool things here. You get this, again, it's got that cool image like I talked about on the slipcover, but inside here is like art cards and stuff like that. And this kind of pops open. You get a book in here as well. So if you want to see more of this, just peep the video I did unboxing this thing, and I get into a lot more detail with it. Guys, again, this, in my opinion, is my favorite edition. That box over there is really cool too because, again, like I said, you get the film cell, you get the autograph. It was super limited. But this is super limited now too. Like this thing is online right now for $350, which again, this wasn't a cheap edition to begin with, but at the same time, like it's already doubled in price since this thing was announced. So this went really quick to a point where a lot of people who pre-ordered this got their orders canceled. So because mine was taking so long, I was getting super nervous and I was like, do I just cancel the order? I kept looking, it wasn't moving. People were getting theirs. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And finally it just showed up. So guys, if yours is still pre-ordered and it hasn't been canceled yet, I recommend just letting it sit there because I thought for sure this thing was not gonna come. I finally got this a couple days ago and man, I'm glad I waited because this was supposed to be out when that Steelbook was out, and then it got pushed back and it wasn't dispatching. And again, I'm glad I have it, and that kind of ends my history of The Exorcist on home video. I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, I had a lot of stuff. Hopefully there was stuff in here you'd never seen before. And I like to, when I do these, like to showcase these editions because that's why I do them on specific movies that I know I have quite a bit of editions on. And if any of the editions I didn't have, I might go back and try to get a couple of them, like that first VHS tape and maybe that Steelbook from Best Buy. So very, very cool that I was able to kind of discover that during the research on this video. So guys, let me know if you like this kind of video. Again, we have a bunch of them. I've been doing them with Dead Pit for the last 2 years. We have like things like Halloween, we have Rob Zombie, we have Texas Chainsaw, like there's, I think, Evil Dead as well. So go back in my playlist and you can find the history of physical media, and that's where they all are. But again, I want to make sure to do The Exorcist just because the 4Ks just came out. We're at the 50th anniversary. I just felt like it was the perfect time to do it. And comment down below, which other movie would you like to see us do when it comes to this format? Some have a lot of releases, some don't. So let us know down below, and subscribe to the channel if this is your jam. Again, we talk about all things movies, physical media, collectibles, anything 80s and 90s when it comes to pop culture. And this is Garrett at Born to be Rad, and like always, stay rad.